Hey everybody. So I wanted to jump on here and I wanted to show you behind the scenes of Beating a Badass and our campaign Make an Impact in 2020. And a lot of you know I've been doing this for quite a while now, since December. Make an Impact is a campaign that I've been doing to bring my book into all the shelters across the country and hopefully eventually into Canada. And I started in Colorado locally, and then people started reaching out and saying, hey, I want to sponsor a shelter in my state, I want to sponsor it in this state or that state. And I said, absolutely, that's great. We don't just need to focus on Colorado, because my overall goal is the whole United States and then eventually into Canada. So what I wanted to do is really show you the operation behind the scenes of what happens when you sponsor a book. So I want to show you my screen, and I will show you the campaign that we're doing. And let's see, let me go here. Hold on one second. I have to get the right screen up. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's my website. And as you can tell right here at the top, it says Make an Impact in 2020. This is the campaign. So Make an Impact, and we want to put a copy of From Beating a Badass in every shelter across Colorado while expanding nationwide in the USA to give others hope and show them that they are a badass. And the way books are being sponsored are people like you who open their hearts and their generosity. And what they're doing is they are sending $20 to sponsor a book. And then I take care of the rest. I do the shipping for you. Now, if you want to include shipping on your donation, you can. That would be $5. If you want to join in with a friend, sponsor half the book, you can each send me $10. And if you want to just pay for shipping, then that's $5. But if you want to do both the book and the shipping, it's $25, and I greatly appreciate it. And so does my bottom line. However, it's really up to you. I want to make this as easy as possible. So from there, what I do is I do all the rest. And I'm going to show you exactly what I do when you open your hearts and wallets and say, hey, I want to sponsor a book to get to a shelter to help those victims impacted by domestic violence and sexual assault. So let's get to it. I do the research, and what that means is I have to find the shelters. So let's hop over here to a website that I use. So I go to this website, and as you can tell right now, there's 24 users on this website. They've had over 10 million visits total. All these purple dots actually show you. So I'm the one in Colorado on the website, but you can see that people are looking at this site. It could be victims, it could be survivors, it could be advocates, it could be organizations, you know, maybe updating their profile. I don't know, but I mean, look at this. You got one over in Canada, and they're just showing, you know, really North America. So we are going to search shelters. These are dropping, which means, you know, people might be escaping because they're in danger, you know, getting off the website because they don't want their abuser to see what is going on. So I'm going to hit search shelters, and from there, we are going to go down and scroll. Now, I am going to show you a book that's being sponsored by Charles Davis, and one of the states that he is sponsoring is Iowa. So Iowa, scroll down here, and it shows that we have 29 organizations in Iowa that provide domestic violence services at some level. So that doesn't mean that every single one of them has an emergency shelter. It doesn't mean that they don't. So I scroll down to the bottom, and I usually go down the columns, but for some reason for Iowa, I decided to go across. So our next one, we've already got Adele covered, we have Ames covered, and now we're going to go to Cedar Rapids. And we have one of those organizations already covered, but the one I want to show you is Deaf Iowans Against Abuse. This one has not been sponsored. It will be sponsored now by Charles Davis. I scroll down to the bottom. It shows me, you know, different demographics, populations, etc. I find their website, and I click on their website. So I want to make sure that you can actually see this. So let me stop real quick, and I'm going to share again because I want to make sure that you can see it. So most websites that help those impacted by domestic violence and sexual assault have a pop-up or an exit strategy, and they give you a warning. So if you're in danger, please call 911. There's an escape button in the menu. Click this button. If your abuser enters the room, it will redirect your browser to Google. So if you want to see what that looks like, here's the escape button. If I hit this button and I want to escape, it takes me to Google. And I'm safe. Looks like I was searching for something. So let's go back to the website. So before I recorded this video, I did actually already vet this, but what I want to show you is what I actually do. So I look at their website and I say, okay, it looks like they definitely, it looks updated. I usually scroll to the bottom to see what the year is of the updatedness, 2019. However, right now with COVID-19, if it's updated website, if it's active organization, it's going to have a COVID-19 update or information. So I then go through the website. I say, okay, what are they about? Who do they focus? Who do they focus on? And I want to make sure, not sure. Oh, there we go. About us. So it talks about, their staff and different things. But most of the websites usually have information on the home. So their mission is to cultivate safe, informed, empowered community for deaf individuals, those with any type of hearing loss, and their families by, providing education and access to different services. So I've already vetted this one. I know it's legitimate. They definitely help with those that are deaf for domestic violence and sexual assault. And then from there, I put them on a spreadsheet, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. And the reason why I keep coming back to me is because I tried to record this earlier, and unfortunately, it did not jump to screens. Okay, so here's my spreadsheet where I put everybody that has sponsored a book and the organization. So if you look here, I have shelter/organization, so the name of it, their email address if they have one, address, phone number, website, and if they've received a copy, and the donor. So if they've received a copy, I write yes, and then their donor's name. Now, if they're yellow, that means they've been sponsored. If they're white, like some of these, it's duplicates, meaning that, as you can see here, the bridge in Fremont, Nebraska has already been sponsored. However, they have 2 more locations that have not been sponsored, and those would be the next ones if I needed to go ahead and do those. But I try to cover other shelters that don't have duplicates first before I go into duplicates. So it turns yellow if I've sponsored them. So the Deaf Iowans Against Abuse is being sponsored by Charles Davis. Thank you so much. And it's yellow. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I do. So I actually also write it on a pad of paper, old school, I know. From there, I say, okay, well, the next one on the list is Deaf Iowans Against Abuse. And then I take my little highlighter. Purple is actually the color for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. It doesn't really matter what color I use though, as long as the highlighter works. So I highlight that. I then write sponsored. And I get to work on the back scenes of everything. So that's what I want to walk you through right now. So what I first do is I create the letter. So the letter is a template. It makes my job a lot easier. And what I want to do is I want to show you that. So let's go to the letter that is sent with the book. All right, so here's the letter. I blocked out the address just for security purposes. And I have the date, the name of the organization, their address, and then I just say dear recipient because it's not being directed towards any individual. So my name is Erin Baer, and I'm the founder of Beaten a Badass. Beaten a Badass is dedicated to empowering those who have been beaten down by life to become the badass they were always meant to be, whether it be by domestic violence, sexual assault, bullying, abandonment, infertility, or whatever obstacles life throws our way. Beaten a Badass is there to start the conversation, raise awareness, give back, and implement change. My goal in 2020 is to supply every shelter in North America with at least one copy of From Beaten a Badass, My Journey of Broken Blessings and How I Became My Own Hero. From Beaten a Badass was released on October 25th, 2019 during National Domestic Violence Awareness Month in honor of all the victims and survivors of domestic violence, abuse, and sexual assault. As a survivor myself, I promised that if I was ever in a position to give back, I would. I have made it my mission to do that and more. With every book sold, a portion of the sales goes back to the organizations dedicated to empowering victims and survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. In Colorado alone, there are 59 organizations that provide domestic violence programs at some level. And within the United States and Canada, there are over 2,859 organizations. Enclosed, you will find a copy of my book, From Beaten to Badass, My Journey of Broken Blessings and How I Became My Own Hero. This copy of From Beaten to Badass that is being gifted was sponsored by Charles Davis. So whoever the sponsor is, their name would go there. It is to be given to your organization, Deaf Iowans Against Abuse, or whatever organization I'm talking about, as a contribution to your continued efforts and to give others hope that they are not defined by their circumstances and they too can be their own hero. Please include the book in your resource library located at your shelter, where it is accessible to those who need it most, the victims and survivors who can see themselves within the pages. Thank you for all efforts and contributions your organization has made for those impacted by domestic violence and abuse within the community. I hope for your continued progression and success towards the cause. Keep up the important work. When we come together and bring our voices as one, we become louder. From there, we can't be ignored and change is inevitable. Sincerely, Erin Bear. I print that out, I sign it, and then I do some more things. So I obviously have to send the letter, so I create an envelope, and I will show you what that looks like. So I have an envelope, and I put my return address, Beaten to Badass, and then the giving back sticker here. I then create a label with their name on it. So I'm going to show you that. So here's the label, Deaf Iowans Against Abuse. I print that out, and then I stick that on the envelope. From there, I put the letter that I just read you in this envelope. I set this aside. Now, what I do with the book is important. So this book is being sponsored by Charles Davis. So the first thing I do is I take that giving back sticker, and there it is right there in the front cover that shows that this is a donated item. Then you flip the page, and I create a sponsored label. And that is at the top right here. This book is sponsored by Charles Davis. And then if you want a personalized message, you can tell me what you like. I put it on a label, I print it, and I include it in the book. So Charles always has the personal message for all the books that he sponsors. And his is, your past doesn't define your future. Your present does. Be strong, be badass, and then his name. And then I inscribe it. I say, stay strong, stay brave, be bold. And then I sign it. From there, I put a postcard in the book. This postcard explains what Beaten to Badass is all about. Let me move my mouse. All about. And then on the back is the book cover and then a short synopsis of the book. So it's just a little promotional thing just so they have some more information. And that goes right in here. That in there. From there, I stick the letter also in there. I like to put the giving back sticker up at the top, and then I, ta-da, I'm done with that. So from there, we have to ship it now, right? So let me show you what that looks like. And hold on 1 second. We'll show you what I do for that. And I have to create a label so I can ship it. And that way they know it's a legitimate business. So here we go. Let me log in to create my label. All right. So let's see, where are you? Okay, I'm going to share my screen. All right, here we go. So we're going to create a label. We're going to just type in my information. And then I usually just copy and paste. I come down here and I put my measurements in. And then it's media mail, so it qualifies. So we then push this and we get our rates and we buy a label. So now I had to get out of there because it's got my account info, but let me show you that. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna hit this little button up here, print. We're gonna print that label, open it, and hopefully you can see this. I have to stop and I have to share just so you can see it, because last time I tried this, it did not work. So we're going to go to print, and then I'm going to use my little Rollo printer over here. You're going to hear it print, and it's really quick and easy. And I have my label. So have my label, and now I need my envelope. So I have an envelope, bubble wrap envelope. It's got nothing in it. Put my little Being a Badass sticker on there. The book then gets put in there. We're going to close that up, seal it tight. And now we want to put our sticker on it. Okay, here we go. So slap that on there. And it is ready to go. So that will be shipped out. It's all sealed, ready to go. And then I'm not done yet, right? So those that sponsor a book, I then write them a letter. And those that have sponsored over and over again are probably getting tired of this letter, but it's the way to appreciate it. So let me show you what that looks like. Let's go to the screen. Okay, so Charles Davis sponsored this book, and I just need to change the date. So today's the 11th, so Charles Davis, his address, and then it just says, hey, hello, badass, and it talks about the goal, and because of you, so he's already, he's sponsoring 10 books this month, and I've done actually 6 of them, but I've only put 2 of them on the letter. So here is the organization that he just sponsored, and then for tax deductions, you know, contact the organization. I can always get that information for you, but this letter should be suffice. I also print out the receipt. So you'll receive this letter, a copy of the letter that I sent to the organization, and then also your receipt of your purchase. And from there, it's done. That's it. Like I ship the book out, and then I make sure that they've received it through my tracking software that I have, and it's easy as that. So if you're interested in sponsoring a book, let's go over the details of that. So I'm going to share my screen again to show you all the details. All right, so here's my website. Go to the top, Make an Impact in 2020, the perfect way to get involved. It just talks about what our goal is and how we really want to give back to those that could use strength, hope, and courage. And we need your help. So if you would like to sponsor a book directly, if you would like to sponsor a book, you can contact me directly and I can send you an invoice, or you can send $20 for each book at these links. So you can contact me or you can send the money at this link. Each book sponsored will have your name in the book and a personal message from you if you decide, and signed by me, the author. So together we can make an impact. And here's the different ways you can get involved. So each book is $20, and then I take care of shipping, so it doesn't cost you any extra money. You can also go in with a friend and you can split the book cost. So $10 from each of you for the full $20. You'll both be listed as a sponsor. If you want to pay for the shipping of a sponsored book, you can do that, and that's $5. If you want to do both the book and shipping, it's $25, and I need to add that as an option on here. But other than that, it's really quite simple. You send the money, open your hearts and generosity, your wallet, say, hey, I want to sponsor a book, I really want to get involved, and then I do the rest. From there, I then add the information to this website. So right now, actually this is before the one I just showed you, but we're sitting at 76 shelters at 2.7%. Once I add the one that we just did, it'll be at 77. From there, you can see all the different states and what organizations are in fact sponsored. So here's Colorado, and Colorado, by the way, is actually, I really want you to understand that Colorado is fully sponsored. As of yesterday, we have sponsored every single shelter in Colorado because of your generosity and amazing support. Colorado has 59 organizations that help those impacted by domestic violence and sexual assault, and they do some type or some level of support for those victims. And what's amazing is out of those 59 organizations, there are 32 emergency shelters, 32 shelters that help those that need to escape the violence that they are enduring at home. And we have sponsored every single one of them. So Colorado is fully sponsored. It's amazing. And we have all the other states that are open. We have 16 states covered. One of them is Colorado, so we can put that aside. And then we have some in Washington, D.C. So there is at least one shelter in 15 other states, including and plus Washington, D.C., that have a copy of From Beaten to Badass. And it's amazing. It's incredible. We have a lot of work to do. We have a long way to go, but I'm definitely excited about this. So let me show you the website again. So I list all of them here and per state, and it's all alphabetical order. At the very bottom of this website is thank you to the following sponsors. So I have everybody listed here that has ever sponsored, and you can see that there's not too many, but they're making a huge impact. I mean, we've got 77 shelters sponsored. We have people that have given multiple books at once. We have people like Charles Davis, Jim Smith, and Christina Dowling that have made it their mission to give every single month. And you don't have to do that. You can just give once and I would be forever grateful. It's what, is on their hearts to do. And so I have a thank you there, and you can share this website with people. You can get the word out. All the information is right here. You can also contact me directly at Erin@beatenabadass.com. You can just go to beatenabadass.com and contact me through there. You can also send me a text message to Beaten to Badass's phone number. It's only me that will receive it. That number is 303-578-8837. You can contact me on Facebook. You can share this video if you want to help. There's so many ways to give. All the bubble wrap packaging was actually gifted to Beaten to Badass for this purpose from one of our sponsors. And she has sponsored 3 books, and then she bought the bubble wrap because she was like, I want your job to be easy. And it is. It's really easy. I don't have to worry about these. I have a constant flow of them. I have a lot of them, so thank you very much, Peggy. And it's really quite simple. You just sponsor a book, I do the rest, and you're making an impact, because when you give the $20 to sponsor a book, I really want you to understand that you're making a ripple effect, making a ripple impact. And what happens is the book gets sent to the shelter. So you pay for the book, I take this book, I do all the stuff I just showed you. From there, it gets sent to the shelter, and they receive it. And they're like, oh, what is this? And it explains in the letter that I read to you, like what we're doing. And then they read it, or they pass it on to the director at the shelter, and then that person reads it. And then everybody that is on staff is like, what book is that? What book is that? They start talking about this book, and they pass it along, and they all end up reading it before it gets put on the shelf at the shelter. Usually it takes anywhere from 2 days to 1 week for somebody to read it. It's a quick read, but it helps them as a staff member that are helping those impacted by domestic violence and sexual assault, because they're seeing it from the eyes of a survivor. They're reading a survivor's story, and they're like, oh, and they can help those victims and survivors more, because they're like, oh, that's what they're feeling. If you've never been through it, then you'll never understand. And you can hear stories and you can empathize and all of that, but really diving into someone's story and seeing it from their perspective is huge. So what happens is the staff members are reading over it, they're fighting over it, they're enjoying the book, they really find it inspirational, motivational, just amazing. A lot of hope, strength, and courage that they can see within these pages. And from there, it gets put on the shelter, in their library or their resource library, on the shelves, so those victims and survivors can read the book. So it's not just helping one, but it's helping an endless number of people. It's a pretty amazing concept. You sponsor a book, and then you have this massive impact on so many people that you may never meet. To me, that's amazing. And what I've been told by those that sponsor are like, I feel that I get more out of sponsoring a book than those that are reading the book. That's huge. But I can tell you those that are reading this book are definitely being impacted, and they're like, oh, she gets it. She's been there. I'm not alone. And then when they see the name of the sponsor, right, in the book, they're like, oh, somebody cares. It's not just the author. If there's somebody else in an organization that stands behind this book and cares, I'm not alone. Even though I may feel like I'm really alone in this really dark time, I'm not. So it's a huge, huge thing that you're doing, that you become a part of when you partner up with Beaten to Badass and you decide that you want to sponsor a book. I want to really stress that to you. Right now we're in a very critical and scary time. We have this pandemic, this coronavirus, COVID-19. We have to wear face masks when we go out in public. We have to stay at home. We're not allowed to gather with our family, our friends, our coworkers, because everything has been put at a halt. And we're safe at home, most of us, right? But there's that small percentage that are really being impacted right now. They're not safe at home. And they're trying to figure out how can they get away? How can they escape a monster that might be beating them, sexually assaulting them? How do they get away? You know, a lot of shelters have had to put a lot of procedures into place, because before they could have, you know, a mother with 2 kids and a single woman, you know, in the same room. And it was a big deal. It was supporting. But now with the COVID-19, the coronavirus, and all these regulations and social distancing protocols, the shelters have had to kind of be like, whoa, we have to put certain protocols to make sure that our staff is safe, that our clients are safe, that these people, you know, can get the help that they need, and nobody, you know, contracts COVID-19 at their, you know, there's a lot of things that are going on right now, and shelters need our help. Shelters either need us to donate money, gift cards, you know, goods and services. There's a lot of things that we can do. And this is just one way we can do it. By sponsoring a book, you're giving hope, strength, and courage to those that need it most. And I can tell you right now, domestic violence is on the rise. It's a really scary time. And those people that are like, man, I don't like this, you know, they had their safe place, whether it was going to work or visiting with a family member, but when they went home, it was dangerous. And now that we're at shelter in place and stay at home, it's even more dangerous, if not deadly. So I really want you to understand that we need to do what we can so those people have the resources out there. You know, the government has said, hey, if you're in danger, you can escape, you can leave your home. But how are they going to leave their homes if their abuser, their monster is at home with them? They might be watching their every move. It's a scary time. And if you're watching this and you are in danger, please reach out to me. I can call someone for you. I can call the police for you. You know, you can just say, hey, what's your favorite movie? I'm looking for some good movies. And I'll know that you need help. So if you're somebody that's in danger, please reach out to me. I sincerely mean that. I want you to be safe. I want you to be healthy. You don't deserve to be hurt. But those that are safe at home, those people need your help more than ever right now. If you want to donate to a shelter and say, hey, I really want to give more than just a book. I'd love to sponsor a book, but how can I give more? I can put you in contact with those shelters as well. Those organizations that really do need their help. I mean, they're being inundated with a lot of different things right now, and the funding's just not there. And so we've asked, you know, the government here in Colorado to step up and say, hey, we need these resources available. We actually, State Representative Monica Duran wrote a letter to Governor Polis, and I signed that letter. And he acknowledged that letter. And he is doing everything he can to help those survivors and those victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. So if this resonates with you, or you've been there, or you want to help those victims and survivors, please sponsor a book. Please reach out to me. Please share this video. Whatever you would like to do to help, I thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart. We could not do this without you, and I really, really do appreciate everything that all of you have been doing. So from that, I want to thank you for watching this video. If you watched it this whole time, if you've sponsored a book or are going to sponsor a book, thank you so much. We have 49 states to go. We can do this. I want them all covered by the end of the year. If you have any questions, contact me. Like I said, Erin@beatinabadass.com. You can call me at 303-578-8837. And you can also reach me through my website, my Facebook. Find me. I'm here. If you have any questions, please let me know. And keep being a badass. Remember, your circumstances do not define you. You're a badass. You just have to get back up. And in this time right now, it's hard, but we're in this together, and we can do this, and we need to help those that need us. With that, God bless. Have a wonderful day.